Welcome to Sports Memos Betting Podcast, NHL Betting. We're breaking it down Tuesday night slate with Andrew McInnis, our resident NHL handicapper from north of the border in the country of Canada, our fine neighbors up north. Andrew, welcome into the podcast. How are you?
Andrew, doing pretty good, man. Like you said, we're recording this here on a Tuesday or Monday night, and of course, it's the national championship game here, national football game. So, just after this podcast is done, I'm getting ready to go watch that game, and I'm sure you're just as pumped as me to watch it. Probably more pumped because you follow college football all year long. So, can't wait for that. But we got to stay on top of this. This is our second week in a row. We're gonna be doing this every single week. We got a pretty good response, Drew, doing this last week, so it was good to see. And got some questions we'll get into at the later on in the podcast. So, I'm really excited about doing this each week with you. How are you doing? You pumped for the game tonight?
I'm doing good, McInnis. And interested to see your opinion here. Maybe get a best bet on Tuesday night slate. And those watching on YouTube, simulcast, if we do this you can watch it wherever you're downloading your podcasts, also on sportsmemo.com and the YouTube channel, Sports Memo YouTube channel. And, of course, buy my shirt, little blue and orange, so you can tell who I'm rooting for in the LSU-Clemson game tonight, who I've bet as well. Clemson plus 5.5. But the game has already ended if you are listening to this, so let's give the people what they do want here. McInnis, 0-1, 0-2, the rotation numbers as we're breaking down a few games on the Tuesday night NHL slate, and then going to answer some questions. 7 o'clock Eastern puck drop, I guess is the right term here, McInnis. Vegas, the Vegas Golden Knights at Buffalo. We got minus 140-ish to minus 150. Vegas, the road favorites here. Total of 6. How would you go after the top of the card here, McInnis?
I got to say, Drew, first off, since you and I have been doing these videos together, you've definitely gotten the lingo down a little bit more. Your vocabulary is getting there. When I rewatched the video last week, I heard you say face-off, puck drop, a couple different terms, so it's good to hear for sure. I feel like it wouldn't be a video with you and I talking, without discussing the Vegas Golden Knights, and I promise you it's not planned. It's just the way it happened when I looked at this card. This Vegas team right now, they had 7 straight home games, and it wasn't really their best homestand whatsoever. I think a lot of people have realized that they are a big home team. They're a team that plays really, really great in front of their home crowd, and they get a lot of big boosts in front of their home fans. However, they've just dropped 3 straight. They're giving up goals ad nauseum right now, and that's not really something that this team is used to. I mean, they can play in high-scoring games, but the way they're giving up goals, the sloppiness in their own end, the defensemen letting down their goaltender. Marc-Andre Fleury has not seemed like himself. He was dealing with some personal problems, and that was related to, not to hockey, but just stuff like that, personal issues, and coming back, it can sometimes be hard. It's not easy to just come right back into the starting goaltender position, especially when your team's letting you down defensively. Now they're playing a Buffalo team, and this Buffalo team is really on and off, but they can get scored on. And we're going to go over the total in this one. I am a big factor, Drew, and a big believer that sometimes when all hell is breaking loose, things aren't going right for you and your team, you need to get on the road and go play a game, outside of your own arena. And, we know, again, like I said, this team is good in front of their home fans at T-Mobile Arena. Sometimes you got to get out there, go on a little road trip, rally the boys on the road, and then come back at home and get the job done. So we're going over the total here. Buffalo has been good on defense, Drew, if you looked at it from a short scale, but only against bad teams. Against great teams above 500, playoff contending teams, they've been getting scored on left and right. I'm talking about your Colorados of the world, your Tampa Bays of the world, Washingtons of the world, and I'm going to put Vegas right in there in that category as a team that's going to light things up. And let's not count out Buffalo. They'll get a few themselves, get us up and over the total for our first winner here on the podcast.
All right, top of the card, Vegas Buffalo over the total as we're talking right now again. We're talking later on Monday here, but this is the Tuesday night NHL podcast. So liking the over of 6. Hopefully it doesn't turn up any higher, 6.5. Do you normally see 6.5s or even 7s for totals in the NHL, McInnis?
We see a lot of 6.5s these days, but we had someone actually commenting on one of our videos last week and saying to us on Twitter, why aren't we seeing enough 7s? Mm-hmm. And we're going to actually get to that question later on in the podcast. But for now, I'll just leave it at this. And after the All-Star break and closer to playoff time, I bet you we will start seeing a lot more 7s. For right now, it's a goal scorers league. I mean, there's very few teams that are succeeding that are averaging just, 2-3 goals a game. That's for sure, Drew. It's it's just elevating. You have to be able to put up 3-4 goals a game in order to get a win.
McGinnis, let's talk game number 13-14 here, 7:30 Eastern puck drop. We got the Chicago Blackhawks at the Ottawa Senators here, -115 or -120, the home Ottawa team. 6.5 the total in this one, McGinnis.
Drew, you almost brought out your Chicago accent there. Chicago. I thought you were.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's kind of a tale of two tapes here. This is a Ottawa Senators team that's very, very troublesome right now. They're a team that you want to be fading. You want to either fade them or bet over the total with them. They're allowing goals left and right, Drew. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games, and a place that they're usually at least bearable to watch or bet on at home. Is at home, and they haven't even been playing well at home. I mean, this is a team that, just lost to Montreal and Detroit, two of the probably biggest bottom feeders in the league right now, and that's coming from a Montreal Canadiens fan. It pained me to even say that to you right there, Drew. But the fact that Ottawa, just had a really tough loss to Montreal. Prior to that, they lost to Detroit. Prior to that, they lost 6-1 to Tampa Bay. Recent history tells us this Ottawa team is, going to have a really tough time beating anybody. And I'm going to look ahead here at Chicago. I think Chicago's playing some pretty good hockey. They've actually been playing up against some really good teams. And sometimes when you get a loss against a good team, I can still learn something from them and take something good out of a game. And that's kind of what I'm doing with this Chicago Blackhawks team. They've been playing against a lot of great teams, a lot of above 500 teams recently, and putting forth some great efforts. And now they're playing a team like Ottawa, well below 500. Horrible defensively, having a lot of trouble goaltending-wise. This is a game that you'll see the Blackhawks go in there on the East Coast and get the job done. We're also going to give out the over here, Drew. I got some stats here. First of all, Chicago, 5 straight wins over Ottawa, 4-1 their last 5 on the road. But 10 of their last 15 games have gone over the total, and 5 of their last 6 on the road have gone over. So Chicago, no stranger to high-scoring games. So over and Chicago on the money line for some 2 overnight picks for us.
All right, man. Underdog money line here and the over on a 6.5, a high total here. Chicago versus Ottawa. McGinnis still liking the over. We got one more game lined up, then we'll answer some questions off of Twitter. And guys, we'll be doing this each and every Monday night, late night action here for the look ahead towards Tuesday's card. Check out McGinnis's slate on sportsmemo.com, releasing plays pretty much daily throughout the NHL season. McGinnis, how many plays do you normally release? Let's just say a week. What would you say your average number of releases to the clients is?
I'd say probably around 20 plays a week, something like that.
Okay. So 2 to 3 plays a night.
Well, especially, NHL-wise, I'd say probably going to be 2 to 3 plays. And I'm doing college basketball as well and NBA. But you're not going to get my personal opinion with college basketball, how big the slate is, with NBA, how on and off those teams are. You got to really dive in there and pick your spots. With NHL, I believe you can have a little more success being a little bit more high volume, and following some trends and patterns. So on a day-to-day basis, you're going to get between 3 to 5 total plays from me.
Okay. All right. Good stuff, McGinnis. And you can check out his packages at sportsmemo.com. And you can get the next week of service, 7 days, all access with Andrew McInnis for a big discount here at sportsmemo.com. Coupon code Andrew69. That's ANDREW 69 at checkout. It'll take a big discount there off of his 7-day all access pass at sportsmemo.com. We got 9 o'clock Eastern puck drop here. McGinnis, the nightcap on the slate. Dallas at Colorado. We're seeing the Avs -140, a mile high. 5.5 the total here, McGinnis.
Yeah, before I get into that game here, Drew, I just want to give you a shout out because you're always supporting me, helping me out, and you're the host of this podcast every week.
I get a shout out?
Podcast. But you are the $2 Tuesday guy for tomorrow. Everybody out there watching this, less than a cup of coffee, you can get Drew's play. He is hitting 57% since 2017 in college basketball, and he's the guy to really go to. Drew's the totals machine as well in college basketball, and I've definitely gotten some winners from him over the years. So huge shout out to Drew there. He's our $2 guy for tomorrow at the website. $2. I mean, that's all you really have to put up to get a great winner off Drew. less than a cup of coffee, I mean, you can't go wrong. And just congrats to you, Drew. I mean, long-term success is what you want. If you're buying picks from somebody, you want to look at a long-term record, not a short-term record, and Drew certainly has that to show. So good job for you there, Drew.
Well, I appreciate that, McInnis. Thank you, man. And hopefully the $2 play does cash on Tuesday. I am doing the analysis right now, so just bet it personally and ready to get after it on the Tuesday slate. But, man, we got Dallas, Colorado in the night slate, and then best bet, and then we'll hit questions. So have at it, man. Dallas Stars, Colorado Avalanche in the nightcap.
Yeah, I'll keep things really short and sweet here, Drew. I mean, this is a matchup that I wanted to pick because I think this is supposed to be a really good game. I mean, this is going to be, like you said, the nightcap, a big game out on the West Coast there for Colorado. But this is the thing. I just said to you, it's a goal scorers league. I mean, it is one of those things where you have to be able to put up a good amount of goals on a night in, night out basis. And that's what the Colorado Avalanche can do. In the offseason, they picked up 2 new guys. We've got Burakovsky now. They have Kadri now. They are just such a deep team. Not only their first line, not only their second line, Drew, their third line can even get some production going as well. And to me, as a hockey handicapper, I'm looking towards depth all the time when I'm looking at a key matchup, big head-to-head matchup between 2 pretty good teams. And Colorado wins that depth battle to me. Goaltending as well. Philip Grubauer, great goaltender. I mean, him versus Ben Bishop in nets, 2 great goaltenders. I don't really give the win to either one of those goalies. I think they're pretty well even matched. So when it comes down to it, it goes towards recent form and depth down the middle. And I think the Colorado Avalanche certainly have that. They have more goal scoring capability. And last but not least, they are a solid home team, and they'll get the job done here. And it's a pretty good price betting on this Colorado team at home. And this is one that will move. So this is at minus 135, 140 right now. Last week, we saw quite a bit of line movement, and the odds changed quite a bit on this podcast. And throughout the weeks, whether it's 2 plays I'm doing on this podcast or 6 plays we're talking about, a lot of these plays, just like your podcast with Teddy and different guys you have, Drew, are going to be based off line movement and trying to beat that number and get the good odds. So that way you're not out there betting on a minus 170 when you could have got it at minus 140 the previous night. So we're going to go ahead here with Colorado on the money line. Love this play, and this is going to be a game where they really prove themselves here in the Western Conference.
All right, good stuff, McInnis. And what, should we do best bets now or after the questions, McInnis?
We'll do the questions first.
All right, good stuff there. We'll bury the best bets for a little bit later in the pod here. We actually don't have too much time left, so we'll steam through these questions. But guys, remember the coupon code here, Andrew69 at checkout for Andrew McInnis's 7-day all access pass. And you know what, McInnis, if it's okay with you, my name is Andrew as well. Is it okay if they use it for my 7-day all access as well?
Let's do it.
All right. We'll keep it active here for the next 48 hours for Andrew McInnis's or Drew Martin's 7-day all-access package for less than $10 a day. Andrew69 at checkout. You can do one. You can do both as well. And so check it out there, sportsmemo.com. Let's hit these questions. Big shout-out to everybody that threw questions out here. We'll read them off with the Twitter from Nick, at NickRide25 on Twitter. Will overs start to decrease heading into All-Star break and beyond?
I would say not quite yet. I would say we'll look for those to decrease a little bit closer to playoff time. It's probably too soon to approach that angle. It's a great question and the reason why that question is being asked, because, over the past 2 weeks, Drew, I mean, we've seen 10-game slates where the over has gone 8-2, and that hasn't really been a shock to a lot of people. I mean, overs are flying right now, but I would wait until maybe closer to playoff time or maybe a month after the All-Star break to start betting these totals under. For right now, just look towards those games where you can get a 5.5 or a 6 when the total really should be 6.5 or 7. That's what I've been doing. I expect to see more 7s after the All-Star break. And if you're seeing a 6 or a 6.5 when you should see a 7, definitely hop on that.
All right, McInnis, we got next question here from Maddie C. The Maddie C1 on Twitter. Do goalie matchups factor into your handicapping? Backup goalies with bad records or few starts, ? Or does it more come down to the team playing in front of them? Thanks for answering.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's like if somebody asked Drew if quarterbacks mattered in football. I mean, that they certainly do. I mean, you have to change your handicap based off the guy that's between the pipes. I mean, they are the anchor of the team, and recent form is a huge thing for starting goaltenders. I mean, you have to look at how a goalie is playing right now, and a lot of times people talk about save percentage and that kind of thing. I don't really care about goals against average. I'm looking at the save percentage. How many shots are they facing per game? How are they handling them? What type of shots are getting fired at them? You want to look at also, though, different odds you're going to get per different goaltender. And Drew, what I mean by that is that, for example, the St. Louis Blues, they have Jordan Binnington and Jake Allen, two goaltenders that I believe are great. However, if you got Jake Allen in nets, you're going to get a far better odds on the St. Louis Blues versus if you were getting Jordan Binnington in nets. So sometimes it's actually a good time to bet on a team when their backup is in if you trust him because you're going to get far better odds versus if the starting goaltender was in it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. We got next question here. Um, if a 2 is out there at a plus price, is that something you're more comfortable taking than a very highly juiced first period over? And by the way, that might be some like hockey lingo there. If you don't mind, like breaking that question down a little bit more there, McInnis.
Yeah, I found this to be a very interesting question. And to be quite honest, Drew, I think that this is completely preference based, opinion based. So for me, I don't really know exactly how to answer this based off, how someone else bets or how they manage their bankroll. I'm not looking to lay minus 180 with an over 1.5. And this person's referencing first period totals.
Okay.
Because again, unlike in football, unlike in basketball, where there's spreads. So most of the bets that you're making in those sports are minus 110, 120. This is a strictly odds-based sport. I mean, you can barely get a spread besides the minus 1.5 puck line. So you have to manage your bankroll as far as different odds that you're looking at. And sometimes I won't talk anybody off of betting a minus 150. If you like the play, you like the play. But as far as these first period overs go, this person is asking if I see a 2 as the first period total out there at a plus price, would you recommend that over getting the 1.5 at like a minus 170 or 180? Here's the problem with that. So many first periods will end with just 2 goals. Very, very seldomly will you see, a 3 goal or a 4 goal first period. But the fact is, you're getting that plus price in the 2. I think at worst, if you love that pick, you're going to get the push. Or if you lose it, you're not losing, 1.8 units. You're losing just 1. So bankroll wise, I would set a little bit of a number, maybe 150 or 160. Don't go any farther over that because it is the first period. It's only 20 minutes. First period betting, Drew, has become a huge trend. And our buddy Alex B. Smith at sportsmemo.com, he actually just cashed his 5% best bet last night. It was in the first period. And, it's just 20 minutes, but you can kind of look at these trends and stats and patterns and find teams that play well out the gate and teams that don't play well out the gate. So I would definitely set a little parameter for yourself. Set a number. Look at some odds and say, hey, I don't want to go any more over minus 150. And then anything over that, if you see a 2 there, bet the 2 because you're going to get a plus price and you'll feel a hell of a lot better cashing a plus price than you would have if you had like a minus 180 or 190 on it.
Okay. Makes total sense here, McInnis. And actually, we just got one late question here from JStone9. I'm just refreshing on Twitter, so right off the top here. Why are so many cappers afraid of a regulation line but are willing to bet the -1, McInnis? And if you don't have an answer, that's fine.
I don't think they're afraid of it. I think that not every book offers it. If you're in Vegas, you talk to Dave Koken. If you're in Vegas, you go to certain sports books. They're not going to give you regulation. So people actually make their own -1. By betting the puck line and by betting the money line. There's certain formulas you can do based off how your bankroll is for that. Regulation is more of an offshore bet or something you're betting online. If you're going to a casino to bet, they're not going to offer regulation. So I feel like that's why people are kind of shy to give it away because you can use your bankroll and you can take a look at the bets and end up formulating a -1 with betting the money line and half the puck line. But you can't really give out regulation. So I don't think it's anything the handicappers are shy from it. I think we talk about it all the time on our show Puck Time with Carmine, Prez, Alex, Buster, Dave. Regulation is great because you can get a team down from a minus 180 to a minus 130. And what regulation means for all of you out there is just pretty much keeping the game within 60 minutes. If it goes into overtime, your bet won't count. And you can actually get far better odds. So I don't, to answer your question, Jay Stone, I don't think it's about people being shy to give those out. I think it's because they know that not everybody has the access to doing it. I do it sometimes, but I'm not someone that always forces it. I'll look for either a puck line or a money line when I have to make the play.
Okay, makes total sense there, McInnis. And yeah, at sportsmemo.com, maybe just speaking to our site, it's really tough to kind of give out plays where a lot of the clients can't get down on it just because it creates kind of a hassle. And, when somebody wants to jump on a service and then they can't bet the plays. So we pretty much steer away from that. It's kind of, the Westgates of the world, the Caesars of the world have to kind of offer the plays. It can't just be like one offshore sports book offering this market because then it just makes a lot of people mad. So hopefully you understand that, Jay Stone. But that was a great answer there, McInnis. And guys, remember the coupon code Andrew69 at checkout for Andrew McInnis' 7-day all access package or Drew Martin's 7-day all access pass. It's $2 Tuesday on sportsmemo.com, meaning the top play. Featured handicap from the hottest handicapper at the site every Tuesday, discounted to just $2. So great day to check out the website. McInnis, I have a question for you. Kind of putting you on the spot here, but I think it's a good one. Where do the Vegas Golden Knights play? What's the arena called?
I know why you're asking that.
Is that really how you guys say it in Canada? I was wondering.
What, do you say T-Mobile?
Yeah, T-Mobile. How do you say it?
Well, I was saying T-Mobile.
Yeah, is that correct up there?
I don't know. It's preference. I don't know.
Okay.
I was actually, Drew, since we're still recording on this podcast, but I was literally telling my friends yesterday about how when I was in Vegas, you were laughing at me for saying the term supper instead of dinner. Yeah. And so you and I were talking about different things that Canadians say versus Americans. So that was probably funnier for me than you might have thought it was, because it's true. I mean, just different things that you might say or I might say are completely oblivious to one another. So, yeah, I guess that's just, I don't know, it's just what I said. That's how I read it out.
Yeah, man. Okay. I don't know. Anybody out there from Canada, let us know if that is a across the nation there in terms of how you would pronounce T-Mobile or T-Mobile Arena. But
let me ask you this, Drew. Is your phone a mobile phone or is it a mobile phone?
For me, it's a mobile phone. I don't know what the correct way is, though.
Okay.
All right, man. Anything else you want to throw out there before we shut this down?
Yeah, best bet over 6 in that Ottawa game. 6.5. I'm pretty comfortable with it as well. Yeah, I mean that's 6.5 actually. That's at most books. So we'll go 6.5 here. That's gonna fly over, Drew. I mean, both teams getting scored on. If Ottawa has any chance of getting their act together again, like I said, 2-8 their last 10. They got to do it at home. They got to get their act together, get a few goals. Chicago, you can score on them, but they're running in pretty hot right now. They're playing pretty good hockey against pretty good teams. So I think they get the job done against the Ottawa Senators and put some goals up in the meantime. So we'll go over 6.5 here, switching it up a little bit, going with a total best bet this time.
Okay, and yeah, you can get that pretty much market wide. Some shops are showing minus 115, so a little juice on that over, but there is minus 110s out there. So the Ottawa over 6.5. They are playing the Chicago Blackhawks in that game. So that's rotation number 13-14 on the over. Ottawa over 6.5. Did you want to throw anything else out there, McInnis, before we shut this down?
Yeah, just if I could, just for everybody out there, the comments below or in the description, you should see our Twitter handles for Drew at Drew Martin Bets, myself at McInnis Picks, and I'm tweeting out live NHL stuff all the time. I've actually been having quite a good season so far with live wagers in the NHL. I usually do them in intermission, so whether it's a total or a side, after the first period, I kind of get the impression if a game's going to go high scoring or low scoring, and whether or not I had a pregame bet on it or not, watching the game definitely you can learn a lot. So I think that, if you're live betting on a sport, you better be watching the game. And most of the time, as you know, Drew, I'm not someone up here that sits and pretends that I watch hockey. That's quite a bit of what I do with my time, and definitely a passion of mine. So I definitely see these games, see how they're operating, how they're going, and I live bet based on that.
All right, great stuff. At McInnis Picks on Twitter, or at Drew Martin Bets on Twitter. Feel free to reach out. Anything, if you like the show, let us know. If you didn't like the show, that's okay as well. Let us know where you think we need to improve. Always up for new ideas here. The Monday night NHL podcast will keep this going, and we're breaking down the Tuesday night card each and every week going forward. So, guys, thanks for tuning in. We will be back with many more pods this week, including a special guest. Matt Holt will join the podcast. We'll be breaking down the Conor McGregor fight here in Las Vegas on Saturday night and that card. So that will be a great pod to listen to on Thursday. But, guys, until then, best of luck with your bets. And we'll actually talk on Wednesday with Mid-Major Matt, college basketball podcast. Until then, be safe. Best of luck with your bets. We'll talk on Wednesday.